Okay, so here's how I'm going to start a piece. Now that I know about form, I'm going to come up with just like a little list of things that I'm going to use in this piece. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk about form. So I'm going to say, what's my plan? Like what form am I going to use? And the reason I'm saying it's a plan is because it can change. Like if I'm writing something and I find something really cool, and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to go back to the A section here, but I can still do more. Maybe I'll change it. Like let yourself change the form if you want to, but we're going to start with plan, knowing that plans can change. So, starting my piece, I'm going to say the form of this piece is going to be ternary. Okay, so that's A, B, A. Cool. What else do I need to know for my plan? Let's describe the A section a little bit. Let's say A section is going to be melodic with a major key melody. Oops. And simple harmonies, meaning triads, nothing bigger than a triad. We'll talk more about that in the next section when we get into theory. But I'm not going to use any kind of extended crazy harmony. It's going to be pretty much straight up triads. Okay, so that's a good description. I'm just, painting in really broad strokes here. Let's talk about the B section. I want something that contrasts. So the contrast to melody would be texture. So it's going to be very texture oriented. Texture means like you might not hear a melody as the most primary thing, but instead like a rhythm or like a groove or it's another good way to describe texture. Like in a texture, you give like the general feel of the piece. So it feels like haunting, or it feels like aggressive or passive or something like that. So I want something that contrasts my nice major key melody. So I'm going to say texture oriented minor key melody. It doesn't have to shift from major to minor, but why not? Minor key melody. And I'll keep the simple harmonies. Because you want it to contrast, but you don't want it to be like totally left field, right? Like it's still the same piece. It still has to be related and feel like it works together. So then the ternary form, my third section is just my A section again. So I don't need to outline that differently. Okay, so one other thing to point out here. Let's talk about this melody. So I've identified that in the A section, I'm going to do some kind of major key melody. And in the B section, I'm going to do a minor key melody. Okay? What I want to do is I want those melodies to work together. So I want it to be a really similar melody. Even though I want these to contrast, I want the melody to have I want the melody of the B section to have some kind of relation to the melody of the A section so that it feels like cohesive. It feels like it's in the same piece. So if I do a major key melody, I might do the exact same melody in a minor key. So I've got a major key melody here. I might do a minor key melody that's all the same notes, but I might use different harmonies, right? So the melodies will sound the same. Let's try it. Let me jump over to MuseScore here. Let's just do it on one staff. We'll keep it nice and simple. Okay, so let's say in the A section, we'll stick to C major here. My melody is this. There's my melody. Let's hear it. Nice simple melody. Now let's add some harmony to that. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to call this as my A section, and then I'm going to put my B section here. I'll leave, normally I wouldn't leave an empty measure right there, but just humor me for a minute here. Now let's add a harmony to it. Actually, I am going to have to add another staff here. So add bass clef remove. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to put my harmony in the other staff. Okay, so remember, we're going to talk more about harmony in a minute. So if you don't know harmony, that's okay. I'm just going to add simple 2-note chords here. And then let's go. Okay. Pretty major sounding stuff. Let's hear it. Okay, so if you do know harmony, harmonies I used here is this is our 1 chord, this is our 6 chord, our relative minor, so an A minor. This is a part of a 5 chord. This is the other part of a 5 chord, so this is all 5 and then 1. Okay, now let's reharmonize it differently. So in our B section, let's make this a little... We want something that contrasts. So the first thing I would do is a different rhythm to the notes. So let's do something like this. Okay, I'm just gonna I'm gonna start on the minor, so oops. So this is all kind of just a 6 chord. Let's copy that so I don't have to rewrite all those rhythms and just change the notes. And let's do this. Kind of moving to a 4 chord here. All right, let's do that again. And here, let's go to an E minor chord. That would be the 3. Let's do that. And then let's stay on that chord and then go back to our first chord. Okay. So now I have a very different thing. I have a different texture, right? This was just whole notes, so very thin, because not a lot of notes happening. Here I have something a bit thicker, lots of notes happening. The same melody. Now I'm just harmonizing it in a different way. Let's hear what happens. Okay, let's hear them back to back now. Okay, so now I didn't even do the thing I said I was going to do, which is change this to a minor key. I left it exactly as is and just gave it a whole new harmony, right? To give it a whole different feel that contrasted the A section. And that works too. So again, here's a good example of changing our plan. So let's take this and say same melody as the A section. Let's just call it darker. It's not necessarily minor, it's just darker. Okay, so that was my plan, right? So this is my plan. Start with plan. That's the whole point of this video. Start with a plan. You will thank yourself later. Next, let's talk about a kind of even more thorough way to plan your pieces using a graphic representation. This is one of my favorite things to do.